Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian Freimart's Tribeca Trade Group, and this is your end of day recap for Tuesday, the 12th. A bit of a turnaround Tuesday today, but to the downside today. So sometimes that's how the turnaround Tuesdays work, especially when we've got a lot of information coming out this week, which I will get to that. First things first, risk disclaimer in front of you. Everything that we're going through is for information purposes only, not giving out any advice or recommendations. Please read the full risk disclaimer right there. So what did we do today? Well, the S&P finished down about 0.5%, a little bit more than that. Qs were the underperformer of the major indices. Both. It's funny how these two kind of work this way. I've said this before, even though they have really nothing to do with each other, but small caps in the Dow outperformed today, still finished just barely in the red for the day. So, not good days for them, but for the most part, IWM was trying to stay green for a good portion of the day, and the breadth wasn't horrible today either. And I think a lot of that has to do with the IWM outperforming a touch. So what were some of the things that did well today? And you could see there was a decent amount of things that actually went up today after the open. Specifically, solar companies, they were up 2.3%. We really haven't seen much out of the solar group, and I was talking about them just shortly ago. I mean, this is what the solar ETF looks like. Woof, that's a bad looking chart. In terms of a trend, it's decently below the 200-day moving average, where the majority of stocks are above their 200-day moving average. Of course, when you look at the S&P, which we did not go over the indices, so I will do that really quickly. There's not, probably because I skipped over them, there's really not much to go over. I send out a Substack report every morning, and I talk about the indices in just like basically a couple sentences. But after yesterday's gains, one of the things that I said was, unfortunately, there wasn't anything to really get that excited about, because after yesterday's candle, and even after today's, it really hasn't changed the picture. We're inside value for the month, and we are below the 50-day moving average, which we were yesterday as well. When we look at the 1-hour chart, we didn't get to the top of value, so you can't really say that we got rejected. But we're basically just back to where we started the week here in the S&P, and we've been basically hanging around the same place since midweek of last week. There just hasn't been a lot of movement. Qs, interesting, because it's tough to really get excited about one day of price action, and you try not to really get too discouraged when you have a day like this down 1.1%, because yesterday we got above the value area, and today it's another rejection, and we're back inside the value area, and for now we're holding above the 50-day or 50-day moving average, as well as the short-term moving averages. But again, all this stuff can change in one day. The price action is just so tight between some of these moving averages and the top of value that we're really just going sideways here for the better part of it. And this was a rejection. This was something that I put out in my morning note. And by the way, if you're not signed up for that, you can go right to Substack. Let me get the link for you. Yeah, here it is. It's TTG trading.substack. It's a completely free post. I put it out usually Monday through Thursday, sometimes Fridays as well. And it's just basically a rundown of the indices. And then, of course, we look at out of box screen, right? These are names breaking out on more than one time, on 3 different time frames to be specific, but are not extended. And by the way, going through this list, what do you see on this list? You've got some energy companies, you've got a few select tech companies, but overall, you don't have a huge amount of names that are breaking out on multiple time frames. It just kind of tells you what kind of environment. Walmart continues to grind higher, and there's a few industrials in here, not like it was months ago, where this was dominated by a lot of financial names. So let me get back to the price action. But one of the things that I said was, I think we got rejected at this virgin point of control, which again, this is what's happening right now, is a lot of times the market just doesn't have enough buying pressure to get over the smallest of resistance. So we're getting rejected. I mentioned IWM outperformed a touch today. I chuckle because it is such a bad looking chart that I almost want to skip it every day and not go over it in my end of day video. But for now, it's above the 200-day moving average, but it's dangerously close to that 200-day moving average and also the bottom value. So there's some support here. But even if it bounces, I'm not sure I really want to be a part of that. So let me just talk about broadly, and then I will go over some single names, and I want to talk about the energy group. But overall, like, try to, I say this in almost every one of the videos so far that I've done in September, right? This is kind of just what September price action is, right? There's not a lot of conviction. Keep in mind that you've got the 2 Jewish holidays coming up too, Rosh Hashanah. Historically, the saying goes is to sell Rosh Hashanah and then buy Yom Kippur, which is closer to the end of the month. And we also have not quadruple, but triple witching this Friday. And then of course the CPI and the PPI report. So again, there's a lot of there's a lot of events to get through. And you could see how the month is developing, right? The S&P is down 1%. So the small caps are down 2.3%. The Qs are down 1.4%. So again, like this is normal September. This isn't anything out of the ordinary to be underperforming. So it's playing out as it is. And the main thing is to basically just be ready when the price action improves. Because I think everything that we're seeing so far, and even if you look at ARRY, which is outperforming for the month, it's up 60 basis points, right? I think it's so far, and we're going to need more information as we go along, once we get out of September. But I think that you have to be ready for better price action, right? And the main thing is to not get worn down with names having false breakouts and just not a lot, and where a name acts really well one day and then there's no follow through after that. So these are frustrating things. These are not great trading times in terms of that. So you just have to be patient and understand that that the Septembers are often like this. All right. So as I mentioned, I was going to go over what energy is doing because I think that's probably one of the most interesting things, right? Here we are, we're continuing to trend. We are going to hit a version point of control very soon here. So maybe we see a little bit of digestion here at 89, 84, but it's been, the weekly chart looks great here in crude. Something that we've gone over now a lot, since it's broken to the value area for the year. But yeah, we could definitely see a pause here. One thing I noticed that was different today, not besides what crude did, which is not different, but just the trend is continuing there, is what Nat Gas did today. That's up 5%. This has been one hell of a sideways looking chart. By the way, like this is a really good example. I was on Benzinga earlier, and I've talked about names like Disney, and I've talked about names like ENPH, which continue to go south, right? Normally, if you take a look at this chart, and again, it doesn't have to be Nat Gas, but this is normally how it works, right? After a big decline, what do you notice that's happening here over the last like almost year, right? It goes sideways, right? That's normally, and it shakes everybody out. So everybody forgets about whatever the name is or the group is, right? And then it starts to base and then it starts to move back up again, right? I just want to remind people of that because people get so sucked into names that they have name recognition over, but they're down and then they just keep going down further and further and further, right? I've gotten some questions, by the way, about pot stocks. You got to be kidding me with these things, right? So like, yes, like yesterday, so notice CGC was down 21% today. I think it was up 66% yesterday. You think, oh my God, up 66%. It's a dollar stock, right? And it got down to 20. I mean, this thing got very close to being delisted, right? It was a 20-cent stock. That's not a buying opportunity, right? That's a bad stock. The stock was trading at $59. Like, when will people finally admit, like, oh, it's a bad stock when it's no longer in existence? So you just got to stay away from these things, that are downtrending like this, because I don't even talk about this stuff anymore other than just kind of to give an example. So yeah, if you made some money on a day trade or something like that, any of the stocks that are in downtrends, you could still make money. You could still day trade them if you really like. But this is not good. I mean, notice, doesn't this resemble what happened back here when the stock was at $5? And I was told at that time that it was a great buying opportunity, right? Look at the stock, that it's up to $1.30 and it's stalling. So I so anyway, I'll move on. I go through these little rants sometimes in these videos, but yeah, I mean, to get back on track here, Nat Gas. So you not only had crude up today, but you had Nat Gas up today, and you're really seeing some of the smaller names participate. Diamond Offshore was a name that I got long yesterday, kind of moving out of the value area for the month. Nice break. I did take a couple targets in this early because you just can't mess around with names not taking targets right now in this market. So usually, like in a better market, what I do is I take one quick target and then I kind of widen them out after that. But I'm hitting 2 targets right now, bang bang, and I did that with IN. I had a position of IN and Q on this morning too, and again, same thing. I'm taking 2 targets as soon as I can because names are just falling apart, right? And here's what IONQ did today, right? So what's nice is this thing didn't, again, you just kind of have to chuckle at some of these things, but because look at the candle for the day. And it's kind of interesting because it didn't lose the trend here. And same thing even in here. Right. So this may set up again for another day trade because this day the stock was down like 12% or something, and it managed to hold above the value area, and it came back like a champ when the price action was a little bit better. But this is just symbolic of what we're dealing with. So here's how I traded it, and I wasn't as disciplined on the last piece of it just because I was doing some other things, but no excuses. But I took the last piece off 1950. Now I did take some targets up to $20.90, but that it is a volatile name, and you can't trade this thing. I even said it over here. I'm like, just be careful, especially at the beginning of the day. This is a volatile puppy. That's how names are going right now. I tried notice starter position. You just can't take a big position in anything of this nature right now. Dip buy, the name was already down 2%, and it just continued to go down. And I got stopped out of it right around my stop price at 381. So we'll revisit these names. That name saw a big chunk of calls the other day. So let me go through just a couple, see how I get sidetracked. But I mentioned like CCJ was a name. I also took 2 targets. I was waiting for this thing patiently to break out of its value area. Notice it had a few chances last week and it didn't do it. I think I mentioned this one in yesterday's video. It was up at one point, I think around like 3%. So I took profits in this. Same exact thing right now. Right, CCJ, 2 targets, right? Like Johnny, 2 targets. And again, like, I'm not taking huge targets here. I'm just taking what the market's giving me. That was at 38.30. The stock went all the way up to 38.60. I'm still long it, but again, I'm taking, like, if I can, like half the position off, into some momentum, and then we kind of see where it goes from there. Another name, so I mentioned Diamond Offshore, but you could go through some of these names. But Rig is another one that looks interesting. Was up 7% today. Now it's going to have to get through this little bit of resistance. But if you look at the weekly chart of Rig, a lot of nice consolidation. This is a nice bull flag. So we'll see if Rig can get out of there. And then your favorite beer, I know that you must love, is PBR. Now this is the energy company, but here's the weekly chart of PBR. It's in an uptrend. It's trying to resolve higher, right? It's not an expensive stock, but if energy continues to rally, that's a smaller cap name possibly to get involved in. SU's another name, Suncor Energy. Nice little consolidation here. It's not extended. VET is another name that we've been talking about a bit. I know a couple of people who have a position in it. Again, $14 stocks. Again, some of the smaller cap names are acting a little bit better right now. And of course, the ETF that is both Nat Gas and energy, it's exploration and production. Take a look at the weekly the weekly chart here, because we're going to be coming up upon a serious level here, 153.93. All right, and I mentioned I think I mentioned ENPH, but look at the difference in this chart, right? So this is Array Technology, which was up about 7% today, and I think this is the one, I think, in energy for now. Notice that it put in a nice little handle here, so I would watch these highs, and maybe it could really, if the tape is a little bit better, maybe this thing could begin to trend and get up to that 29 level, that virgin point of control that's up there on the daily chart. One other name from yesterday, right? Well, two names from yesterday, the two big stars from yesterday, right? Tesla got that upgrade. Notice what it's doing now, right? Virgin point of control takeout, perfectly normal. Sometimes the names go a little bit higher. Notice what it did in here, a little bit higher, and then it fell back down. So watch the short-term moving average here, right? Now there's going to be some support in here at 255. That might be a better place to try a trade given the tape right now. But you know, definitely for now, the body was an inside day. The full price action was not, depending on how you define it, an inside day. And then Amazon, which I actually think looks better. That's a pure inside day for me. So nice breakout of the value area, down 1.3%, and you've got support to trade against 140.64. But you have to be a disciplined trader in this market. I would say if it breaks down back into the value area for the month, then you abandon the trade and wait and be patient again. All right, guys, that's it for today's recap. Thanks for watching, and yeah, I mean we're at the 12th of the month. You know, we're making our way through September. Oh, I know I forgot one thing to go over, which is the CPI report for tomorrow. So this is what we have for tomorrow. Again, I've already gone over this in, I think, yesterday's video, but yes, they're expecting a high print for this 0.6, right? So that's where the expectations are. This is going to be an easier bar to go under, basically. But again, you know, there's a reason why it says 0.6. We've seen energy prices go up. All right. So that's, you know, definitely someone's accounting for that into the report. But if X food and energy comes in and it comes in on the screws 0.2 or lower, you know, you're probably going to see a nice knee-jerk reaction to the upside. I would think that's the conventional wisdom. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.